Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the latest spin. I'm Mike Spinner, Student Athlete World USA, coming at you from the basketball capital of the world. That's right, Connecticut, because Connecticut is synonymous with basketball greatness. If you did not know, Gino Auriemma last night became the all-time wins leader in basketball history as a head coach, and he just so happens to be the head coach in the great state of Connecticut. And it just so happens that the school that Coach Auriemma represents, UConn, won the men's basketball national championship back in March. So I'm in the middle of the basketball capital. So wherever you're watching from, if you're not in Connecticut, the basketball just isn't that good. So I'm just, and why do I say this? It's not too often that I get to talk trash about anything Connecticut related. Like, hey, our traffic is a lot worse than yours. Our property taxes are much higher than yours. Like, I don't get to show off Connecticut too much. So I'm going to take the time tonight to really bask in the glory that is Connecticut basketball. Even though I'm not actually a UConn fan, it doesn't matter. I live in the state. We had the men win it in the spring, and now Gino Auriemma is at the top of the mountain, and a record that might not ever be broken. And I live here, so there we go. And I'm not going deep into. I have a great what in the world coming up, and right now Tim's like, why is he talking about it? It has nothing to do with our tours. Tim, just hang tight, man. We'll get there. But for whatever reason, when I was reading up on Gino Auriemma last night, my first thought, for whatever reason, was, who is the poor sap that replaces him? He's an older guy. He's senior citizen age. And, honestly, like, I can't imagine someone else doing this job, and it can't be that far off, right? Um, so it's just crazy to think about. But, Gino Auriemma is one of the pillars of women's basketball and the growth that the sport has achieved really since he took over UConn in the late 1980s. And while the landscape has changed, and UConn is no longer a dynasty, they're a powerhouse. They're in the mix every year, but they're not that dynasty anymore. You don't have too many sports or programs left where the coach is the program. We could have said that about Mike Krzyzewski, but it seems like Duke is doing just okay without him. They're going to be all right. Couldn't say that about Nick Saban, because before Nick Saban, there was Bear Bryant at Alabama. And even Mike Krzyzewski, there were dynasties before Duke. And John Wooden, Dean Smith, et cetera, et cetera. With Gino Auriemma and the success he has had at UConn, is UConn ever going to be the same after he's gone with NIL money, with TV money? UConn's not even all that great of a conference right now. So I have to wonder, would you want that job once Gino Auriemma retires? And, I don't know. It's beyond pressure. There'll never be UConn basketball the way it is with Gino Auriemma. Okay. NIL money alone. Like, why would a great player go to someone who's play for someone who's not Gino and give up an offer from all these schools like Texas with all this money to offer? So I don't want to get into it too deep, but congratulations, Gino Auriemma, and go Connecticut. All right, because I live here. Now, why do I talk about this? Why is this the intro to tonight's show? Simply because I'm going to talk a little bit about something that, if you root for programs like Wisconsin football, you know nothing about, and that's the great coaching we have here at Student Athlete World USA. And before I get into it, the number, we're going to treat it like a talk show, 203-518-8408. The phone is out. Got any questions about us, about our tours, about me? Fire away. I will read them in real time as long as I'm live. And so the segue from Gino Auriemma to our tour. So Tim, this is where you calm down a little bit. The segue is, I'm doing all these interviews right now. If you look at my calendar, it's turbocharged. Interview after interview, all different sports. It's awesome. Favorite time of year. So I always get asked about who's going to coach my child. And so the abstract is that we work really hard to find coaches who get it. All right. And I've been on 3 tours with Student Athlete World now. I was a coach on one of them. He was awesome. But, it's important not to say, hey, we have the best coach ever. Gino Auriemma is not coaching one of our women's teams. Would be kind of cool, but he's not. And it's the most important thing for me as kind of the facilitator of the coaches is to find coaches who get it. What does that mean? Our tours are about the sport first, okay? But what makes our tours special is that balance between sport and travel. A coach who's going to teach you as an athlete, teach you as a team, help you develop, have you walk away having learned something, but also embrace and value the idea that the all the benefits of an international tour, the culture, the food, the sights and sounds, the people, and the team building within a tour, which I think is a crucial component. I want all of our coaches to be able to really embrace that idea. That whether you win a championship during our tour or you don't win a game, which almost never happens, as long as everything else is in place, it's an amazing tour. And I'm really proud of how well our coaches have done during my time with Student Athlete World. I want to give a couple of shout outs. Lori Khalil, our amazing women's basketball coach, is over the offseason got a Division I opportunity. She's now at Towson University in Maryland. I'm sure absolutely crushing it there as an assistant coach. We're real excited for Lori. She has been one of the most popular coaches in Student Athlete World across the board. It's just awesome that she had this opportunity, and we're really proud of her. So that's one I want to point out. Number two, Ryan Noel, our men's lacrosse coach, men's lacrosse, he's really helped bring a lot of energy to men's lacrosse. He recently got his first head coaching position at Marywood University, an amazing Division III in Pennsylvania. Ryan's become a valued colleague and friend over the many months we've been working together. And he's going to kill it at Marywood. It's a hidden gem of a school at Marywood. I've been there before. And he's just going to do a great job. So, another college head coach among our ranks. We have a new coach for women's lacrosse is here, Megan Smith. She recently became the head coach at Lycoming College in Pennsylvania. This is her fourth or fifth stint as a head coach at the college level somewhere. Fantastic coach. She works for the best travel lacrosse program in the country at Jersey Thunder. And she's gonna do an amazing job this summer. And we do have many others. I don't want to spend the whole video talking about our coaches, but being at three of them have some recent news about them. They've all recently accepted new positions in the college world. I figured I'd spotlight them. There's three college head coaches right there among our rank. Three of many. We have many others. And we have some really young and amazing coaches. On the men's basketball side, many of you have heard from Brandon Averett, who's a community college assistant in California. He was an athlete with us who traveled with us as an athlete and then became a coach with us once he became a college coach. He is a bright young basketball mind who's going to make it far in this field. And he's killing it on the men's side right now, just helping identify prospects to travel with us. And he'll be with us this summer. There's many others. And as we get closer to our tours, I'm certain we're still going to announce all of them. So, but I want to give you a sampling of who we get to coach our teams, because at the end of the day, you're going to be coached. Okay. You will be taught your sport at an advanced level. We have a lot of high school coaches on basketball. We have some AAU coaches, one of which out of the El Paso area, Juwan Williams, who we recently brought on board, and he's brought some amazing kids our way already. And you can just talking to him, his passion for teaching basketball is unmatched. So at the end of the day, who is coaching my child? The answer is we have not named our coaching staff for 2025 yet. We have a million candidates across the board, and they're all awesome. So is it going to be a college head coach? Is it going to be a high school coach with a million connections to college coaches? Is it going to be an AU coach also with a million connections? It's going to be someone in that category. And I'm very confident saying to you, whether you're an athlete watching or the parent of an athlete, you're coming home satisfied with your sport experience. You're going to be challenged. You're going to learn. You have some fun, and your tour is going to be awesome. So hopefully that answers your questions about our coaches. And now, what in the world? So What in the World tonight is sponsored by Netflix. Welcome aboard Netflix, probably our biggest corporate sponsor to date, as Netflix begins its 2024 to 2025 redemption tour. Netflix got in the news recently by managing what I will call the worst sports event in history. All right, I'm not even exaggerating. I tuned in for the boxing matches over the weekend, and it was important because as a child of the '80s, it was so nostalgic learning about Mike Tyson, who's going to fight again, and it was just so cool because his hype videos, right? If you want to watch something impressive at his age, he's almost 60 years old. His training videos were awesome. All right, and I was so excited to see him fight. I tuned in early, and that women's fight right before Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, was one of the best sporting events I've ever seen for the amount that I was able to watch. And I don't need to repeat the whole story, but it was like watching a video on dial-up internet. For those of you who don't know what dial-up internet was, get out of my face. You're too young. I'm just kidding. But the buffering and the delays and being kicked off completely while watching one of the most amazing sporting events ever, it was just so painfully frustrating. But they had a perfect stream for Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, right? So Netflix dropped the ball right there. All right. The highlight of the night, we didn't get to watch the whole thing. And it's just like, Netflix, you brought to us The Last Kingdom. Now, if you haven't seen The Last Kingdom, oh, what a great show. You got to watch it. All right. I watched it now like 4 times. And they did a feature-length movie as like the end of it. Just amazing stuff. Netflix produced You. All right. If you don't know the show You, you're missing out. All right. And many others as well. Netflix, you do such great work for so many people. And the one time the whole world's tuning in, and what the hamster stopped running on the wheel, like what happened there? And now they're going to broadcast the NFL. I just don't know. So that was another element of making it the worst sporting event in history. At the highlight of the entire event, it was literally watching on dial-up internet. But then you add to the mix Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. So here's where I'm going with that fight. Very disappointing. All right. I've often wondered personally how much, for lack of a better term, fixing happens at the professional sports level. And I'm not saying the fight was fixed. I'm saying I wonder if it was. Because I've often wondered, like, professional sports are millionaires and billionaires, right? Almost everyone. Everyone's getting paid. So what would stop them from kind of slanting things a bit to fit either a great narrative or a franchise that needs the money kind of thing by winning a championship? And if you remember, as a New York Knicks fan, when Patrick Ewing was drafted by the Knicks, it was fixed. It turns out it was rigged. That the NBA commissioner, David Stern, there was a frozen envelope with the New York Knicks as the number 1 pick. It was literally a lottery picking an envelope out of a basket. And it turns out the envelope for the Knicks to get the number 1 pick was frozen. So when I think it was David Stern, who was the commissioner, when he poked around the envelope, he felt for the cold one, pulled out. The Knicks got the top pick. They got Patrick Ewing because they needed him. The franchise was falling apart, and you have a flagship NBA franchise who needed a Patrick Ewing. They rigged it. So I've often wondered, does the rigging of professional sports, or at least the slanting of it, happen? This year, the World Series, it was the 2 best teams in baseball. It was also the 2 biggest markets. Did Major League Baseball need it? I don't know. I'm not accusing anything. I'm just questioning it. Why do I say this? Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Are you telling me that Mike Tyson was once again the baddest man on the planet during his training videos? Then when the real thing hits, it was like watching a deer in headlights. It was painful to watch. It was slow. It was boring. All right. At no point did Mike Tyson make an effort to win the fight, to even be a factor in the fight. Like, he won the first 2 rounds. I didn't even see that much. He looked mentally frustrated, potentially sad. It just had the feelings that he wasn't supposed to win. Because when you think about it, Jake Paul is even a great fighter. We have no way of knowing. But he's a marketing genius. I didn't know much about him before this fight. He is as good of a self-promoter as I've ever seen. The second best in my mind is Lady Gaga, believe it or not. Jake Paul's a genius. He's a multimillionaire genius. He was fighting someone, triple his age almost? He had everything to lose. Mike Tyson, baddest man on the planet, legendary fighter, hasn't fought in 19 years. Last big payday probably, right? When else is getting, $20 million to do anything? Mike Tyson had only one thing to gain. So my question is, was something kind of preordained there? Because it doesn't make any sense. His lack of engagement in this fight, it doesn't make sense to me. But what it was at the end of the day was a second black eye for Netflix during that event. The first was just the stream, the embarrassing pauses and glitches and painfully frustrating to watch. Then the biggest sporting event, probably since the Super Bowl this year, including the Olympics, all right? And it was just ugly to watch. So what in the world, Netflix, man, you got to figure this one out. If I wanted to go all the way to Dallas to watch really boring, awful, terrible, brutal, painful to watch sports, I'd be a Cowboys fan. I said it. I've been waiting for something like that ever since I started this show, and I was able to do it now. I'm so happy right now. That came off beautifully. That's how we're going to end the latest spin this week. As always, how do I get involved with the coolest thing I'm ever going to do? Go to studentathleteworld.com, complete your application, interview with me, and pack your bags. And we'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Next week is Thanksgiving Thursday. We'll see everyone in 2. I hope everyone has a wonderful, festive, awesome Thanksgiving. Giants are playing the Cowboys, so let's hope another Cowboys loss. I hope it's a great holiday for you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see everyone next time.